Hey guys, it's me, Donna, the Good Witch of the South. I don't know if you guys remember, but I had told you that I have a bunch of ghost stories that I want to talk to you about and tell you them, but I was going to do it in segments, just so they're like little clips. So this clip, I'm thinking that I would tell you the two stories that I have to do with ghosts and electricity, because they really do like to mess with electricity. Especially if they're trying to get your attention or they're trying to communicate with you in some way. These two stories that I have are, I feel, my mom trying to communicate with me through electricity. Okay? So, the first story. In my old house, I had a hutch that had a light that had one of those hinges. You touch it and it goes from low to medium to high. So every once in a while, I'd be either thinking of my mom or talking to my mom, and the light would come on in the hutch on low. And I'd be like, I wonder if that's her, letting me know she hears me. So I'd shut it off. So this one day, it's on low, I see it, and I had been thinking about her. So I shut it off. I go in the kitchen, and I start talking to her like I always do. And, I always did that, and I still do. And I'm just saying, if that was you, if you turn the hutch light on, that's awesome. I love when you do that. And I'm doing things in the kitchen. I go back into the dining room and the light is on again. So I'm like, well, she's never done that before. So I'm like, I don't know. So I shut it off and then I go back into the kitchen and I'm talking to her again. I'm doing dishes saying, if that is you and you can hear me and you're kind of like letting me know through the hutch, that's awesome. So I go back into the dining room and it's on again. And I'm like, oh my God, she really is trying to communicate. So I shut it off and I go back in the kitchen. So now I start saying to her, okay, I really think that is you. I really think it's awesome. And I love when you do it over and over again like that, because it validates for me that even though you're on the other side, you can hear me and you can communicate. So I'm like, oh my God. So then I go back into the dining room to see now if it's on. And wouldn't you know, it's on low again. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go up to it to shut it off. And as I reach for it, it goes from low to medium to high and then off. Low, medium, high, off. And it's circling like that, doing it over and over again. It has never done that before. So I'm like, oh my God. So I call my husband. I'm like, get down here. You have to see this. And of course, it shuts off. So I'm like, okay. But I knew she is communicating with me and letting me know through my hutch. So that's that one. So then I was in my room upstairs and I have a ceiling fan up there. And now this ceiling fan light has never done anything weird before. It has no strings and you need a remote to turn it on. I'm on the phone with my sister, blabbing to her, and all of a sudden, the light's off, it starts going on, off, and then the fan starts going, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's doing that, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it must be, maybe I'm sitting on the remote, but I find the remote, and I'm like, nope, I'm not. So then my daughter comes in, and she's like, do you see this? And I'm like, yes, I do. So I'm on the phone blabbing, so I don't tell my sister at the time, and then I later told her, I think Mom was trying to communicate with us, and I tell her what happened. So now, like I said, I never did that before. So now, like 4 or 5 years go by, and at this time, my mom's sister had moved in to North Carolina. So I would go visit her, and we'd go to coffee, different things. And I'm in my room at this time, and all of a sudden the light starts doing that again, on, off, the fan's going. And I'm saying, wonder what my mom must be trying to communicate, but I don't know what it is. So then I, shut it off, and that's that. The next day, my dad calls me up, and he's like, oh, we just got news that your mom's sister was diagnosed with cancer. So I was like, oh, so that must be what she was trying to communicate. She was, trying to let me know. So anyways, that's my stories for ghosts and electricity. I hope you guys like those, and I would love it if you would tell me your stories in the comments, please. And then like my video, and if you can, subscribe to my YouTube page. I would really appreciate that. And that's my stories until the next ones, okay? Bye now.